Hey everyone, Couch Investor back with another video for you today. So we need to talk about Twitter. Yesterday, after the market closed, Twitter reported earnings. Market wasn't that happy with guidance because it wasn't that strong. So the stock tanked 10%, 11% or so when I'm filming this video. A bit like with Pinterest, who I also covered. So if you want to watch that, it's going to be in the top right corner. But in this video, I'm just going to try and make a compelling case to why Twitter can actually be a good investment. There are lots of ifs and maybes because, well, they're trying to turn this ship around with new features coming on, monetization of the users, maybe better targeting ads on the platform, SuperFollows, tip jars, etc. We're going to discuss all of that in this video. We're obviously going to look a bit at the highlighted numbers for this quarter, so stay tuned for that. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, maybe hit that subscribe button. We're almost at 15,000 subscribers. I would also like to thank the Motley for sponsoring this video. The Motley is a company that provides investing insight and stock recommendations for investors of all skill sets and risk levels. You guys know I love finding new investing tools and resources to help me find the latest growth stock and innovative company. And right now I have a discount for one of my favorite services, the Full offers. Through the Motley Fool's stock advisor service, you get access to a ton of expert stock picks. Every month you'll get 2 picks that are aimed at growing your wealth and to help you realize your financial goals. Stock advisors' average stock picks have returned over 500%. If growing your money is something you'd like to do more this year, you can visit www.fool.com/couchinvestor or click on the link below for access to my special offer and decide if Stock Advisor is right for you. Now let's dive into this. Alright, so earnings highlights. Q1 was a solid start to the year with a total revenue of $1.04 billion, up 28% year over year, reflecting strength in brand advertising in March, as well as accelerating year-over-year growth in mobile app promotion revenue. Operating margin of 5% reflect ongoing investments across our top objectives. Now, if we move slightly down, we can see it right here. Total revenue, like we said, the majority of it, $899 million, is obviously advertising revenue. The rest comes from data licensing and other revenue. Now, this part right here, average monetizable daily active users, has reached 199 million. Majority of it from the international market and the rest from the US, but you will see something interesting in a bit. But first, let's go and look at hypercharts. So this is basically the growth since Q2 of 2017, the growth of the monetizable daily active users. Solid growth year over year, quarter over quarter. So that's always nice to see. But if you look at where most of that revenue is coming, it is still coming from that US market, even though that market is way smaller than the international one. $556 million come from US, 480 comes from the international one. And lastly, the outlook. So we continue to expect total revenue to grow faster than expenses in 2021, which is a positive, assuming the global pandemic continues to improve and that we see modest impact from the rollout of changes associated with iOS 14.5. This is the IDF 18. How much faster will depend on various factors, including our execution on our direct response roadmap and microeconomics factors. Now the outlook for Q2, total revenue is expected to be between $980 to $1.08 billion. I think consensus was something like 1.06. GAAP operating loss is expected to be between 170 and 120 million. Now for full year 2021, stock-based compensation expense is expected to be approximately $600 million, which I believe was again a bit higher than what the street thought. Capital expenditure are expected to be between $900 and $950 million. Right, so the numbers were okay, let's say, not like Facebook or Apple or whatever, because those guys are in different league. But if you look at Snapchat or Pinterest, the Twitter numbers were okay. Maybe expectations were higher because, well, the price of the stock has gone up significantly in the last couple of months. Maybe that's why expectations were much higher. Or maybe it's because of the announcement that they've made a couple of months ago about all the things that they want to add on the platform, the monetization part. I've talked about this a bit on my Square video. If you want to watch that, it's going to be in the top right corner. Maybe they can start doing some e-commerce or whatever and merge it with maybe Square's platform in the background, pay with Cash App, etc. So I stopped raising a couple of points here to where Twitter might be going in the future and the struggles. So first up, we have Twitter has been free for so long that if they start putting paywalls, let's say if you want to follow me, follow and see my tweets, you will suddenly have to pay $1, $2, $3, a bit like Patreon, to see those tweets. I think since the platform has been free for so long, if you start doing that, maybe users will stop going on Twitter and stop engaging with the platform, because it really is such a huge difference between going on Twitter, seeing everybody, seeing the engagement, etc. for free, or suddenly going on the platform and like, no, sorry, you can't read this tweet, you have to pay for it. But they've also announced a couple of other things like the newsletter, which is a bit like Substack, for example, which shouldn't really be a problem, which is actually a positive. If you want to sign up to someone's newsletter about financial stuff or sports or whatever, that would be a good idea for Twitter and a good way to monetize a user. Then you have some other features, which we're going to switch now back to a Twitter account, which I highly suggest you go follow because she has some amazing insights on what's going to happen in Twitter. She says here on April 23rd, Twitter is working on the SuperFollow button. As you can see right here, they also are working on a cash button for tipping, which can be seen right here. So basically you can tip someone just like you can tip someone on Twitch, etc. You can tip them by using Bandcamp, Cash App, Patreon, PayPal, Venmo, and probably maybe others in the future. You will also be able to do this in Twitter Spaces. By the way, Twitter Spaces is probably one of the best features that Twitter has added in recent years. I love Twitter Spaces. I've been participating in a couple and will be participating in the future as well. If you want to know, follow me on Twitter. I'll retweet usually the Twitter space I will be in. We're always talking about some interesting companies. We had Twitter, Teladoc. Next week, there is some interesting spaces regarding the fintech. And then maybe in 2 weeks about gaming, who knows. They've also talked about Twitter communities. So it's basically communities like on Facebook groups, but on Twitter, where you can have a big audience and share ideas just in that group, or maybe regarding a topic, a subject, or whatnot. And then again, the SuperFollow, which is basically like Patreon, but on Twitter, which could look at something like this. You can tweet at only your super followers if you've got some exclusives or whatever. But then again, I go back to my point that I made before. These paywalls, these maybe restrictions that people that use the platform for free will probably maybe unfollow you because, well, you're not sharing the information that you've been sharing for years. Maybe that will stop the engagement. Who knows? I'm sure they're going to test it out and see what's the feedback. So obviously Twitter has plans to improve the platform and especially monetize its user. But don't expect these changes to come in a month or so. I expect some of these features to be rolled out during this year and during next year as well. We've also talked in one of my Square videos about the possibility of Twitter going into e-commerce. Because why couldn't you be able to buy stuff via Twitter if you have some ads, targeted ads? That's also something I'm going to talk in a bit. Why not create this e-commerce website via Twitter, sell some things via Twitter, and then obviously like we've seen with the tipping jar, I'm sure they can have direct payments through Twitter as well. Now going back to the targeted ads, I don't think I have been targeted right once on Twitter. For the last couple of weeks, I have been targeted by the same ad every single time, something about singularity or something. If you've been targeted by the same ad, let me know down in the comments below. But this whole ad targeting is completely wrong with Twitter. I hope for them they can fix that, because as of now, I can scroll to my Twitter and not really pay attention to one ad or one ad that is significant to me. And last two things I want to mention. One, they are probably missing lots of engagements because of one certain account that does not exist on the platform anymore. Whether you liked it or not, he brought a lot of engagement on the platform. Second of all, I think with the lack of sporting events, maybe some other events around the world that are not happening because of the pandemic, there is a lack of engagement on Twitter. Maybe with the Summer Olympics, with the European Championships, that can change and obviously engagement will increase. But obviously the lack of sporting events, concerts, whatever, is probably hurting Twitter as well. Now, could this be a reopening play, let's say? Most likely we will see more engagement if there are sporting events or other events out there, because everything will be trending, people will start talking about this, etc. So that's obviously something that will go their way the more we move away from this pandemic. Now, disclaimer, I don't own Twitter. Let me know though down in the comments below if you do own Twitter or any of those social media stocks. Let me know down in the comments below. And that will be it for this video. Let me know if you liked it by leaving a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. And as always, guys, take care, stay safe, and see you all in the next video. Bye bye.